View states such as loading, loaded, and error are crucial in SwiftUI because they enable a seamless user experience by clearly communicating the app's current state. They allow developers to handle asynchronous data or processes effectively, ensuring the interface updates dynamically and predictably. In this video, you'll get a step-by-step guide on how to implement and manage these states in SwiftUI, making your app not only functional, but also polished and user-friendly. Check out the Black Friday sale. The link is down in the description for a 91% off discount. This includes all of my current products and the SwiftUI camp, which is launching in December. So go ahead and check it out. You have only 5 days to redeem the huge discount. So today we are going to talk about loading view states. What do I mean by that? Well, actually, when a view loads, there are some sort of stages. And we are going to talk about that today, and I'm going to show you the proper way of handling this. Now, just for a quick, starter, I just set up a starter project right over here. And before we move on to explaining what all of these helper files are, just not typing it out through the tutorial, I'm going to go them through in just a second. But as a starter, let's just talk about the loading view states, which we are going to cover today. What are those? Let's just create an enum, and that would be a loading view state. And it will require a result, which is equatable. And also the enum should be equatable. And then, as you can see, it's already suggesting stuff. Let's see. Loading, that's fine. Let's just call this loaded. Loaded. Failure, let's call this error. And you might pass along, of course, the error, but in some cases you don't have that. Maybe it's just, internal stuff. You don't want to create your custom error, which of course you could, but I prefer in my projects to have that as string. And I also want to add another case of empty. And again, we want to have a string computed property right over here for the actual message for the empty view. What is this empty? Well, think about it. Let's say we are fetching some profiles. At first, our view, and we are going to put them inside the list. At first, our view is loading. And then according to how much profiles or did we add any profiles, we are going to go to either of these 3 cases. If there's an error, we want to go to an error view. We want to not go, basically, we are not navigating away. We want to present the error view. And we want to actually switch the whole view. Loading, let's say a progress view. I'm going to show you what I cooked up here for today. Okay, error, content not found. What's that? Let's just see. Content unavailable view. And then for the empty, which means that we did get an okay response from the server, but we don't have any profile. So our array basically is empty. And then there's the loaded, which is the result. In our case, it will be an array of profiles. So this is our loading view states. Any view that you are loading data onto from the server should go through these stages. First, the loading, and according to the fetch of your data, either loaded, empty, or error view. Okay, and there are a few tricks also how to navigate between these 4, but we are going to cover that also in this tutorial. This Black Friday, don't miss your chance to snag the Ultimate SwiftUI bundle at an incredible 91% discount. Get all my tools to help you develop apps faster and smarter, plus access to SwiftUI Camp, my flagship 4-week live Zoom bootcamp starting December the 2nd, where you'll master SwiftUI like never before. Normally $2,280, it's now only $199. Act fast, this offer won't last long. Use the link in the description to grab it today. So we are going to create a view that is loading some profiles. So here is the profile model. It's identifiable and creatable. It has an ID, of course, and a name. That's just it. And then I created this profile manager, not to code on this tutorial that much, because this is just standard stuff. we have make it shared so we can have access to it, and then profiles, an array of profiles, and then we may load the profiles. And in this case, I'm just simulating the server response after 2 seconds. I'm just grabbing the mock profiles, these 3 profiles, and then also I'm going to return the profile. This is really important. You will see that this array profiles will be used later on. And then other 2 functions where it might have an empty response or an error. So basically that's our profile manager. And then there is this profiles list where I just grab the array of profiles and put them inside the list. Pretty straightforward. I just created a standard error. So for that, error fetch from the server, and then 2 view state views. One is the empty view. Of course, you may customize this to your liking, which is just displaying a message inside the text, and then an error, which is, as you already saw, a content unavailable view with, the actual description as the message. And also I'm adding a retry button. Maybe, we had some error and the user may want to retry the fetch of the profiles. And those are the only helper files that we need for this tutorial. Let's go to the content view. As you can see, it's just a simple hello world. Let me just move this away so we may have a little bit more room. So we got our loading view states enum. Let's just use them. I'm going to build out the view as the second part of this tutorial at the end. Now let's create our view model, because all of this, of course, should be moved outside of the view. It should be inside the view model, and it should be only available for the content view, because this is actually managing the state of the content view. So what I'm going to do, this is what I usually do, is just create a file private extension, but not on the view, but I want this to be an extension on the content view itself. So this will be available only inside this file, and it's an extension on the content view. Really nice. Okay, let me just move this a little bit further. Now, we want to use the observable macro. Of course, observable object will also work if you are pre-iOS 17, but you're just going to use the publish variable. I just like to use the observable. It's really nicer and, by the way, much more simpler. Okay, we are going to create a view model. And again, it's not observable object. It's from the observable macro. And we are going to have a view state, there we go, of type loading view state, what we have just created. And as you can see, it's just suggesting some stuff. So here, let's just use tab for that one. It's just thinking that we are going to use the string as our data that we want to populate our view with. When in our case, it's not a string, it's an array of profiles. So this is where you just basically set up what type of data you are expecting. And then let's just also grab our manager. So let manager, that's our profile manager. Okay, let's initialize it. Of course, you may inject this as you may like. This is just the simplest way for this tutorial. Okay, so we have access to that manager. Finally, we need to create a load function. So let's just create a function called load, and this will be an asynchronous one. I already know. And we are also going to have a throwing function when we load. Let me just show it to you rather. Let's just see right over here on the profile manager. As you can see, all of these are asynchronous throwing functions. So we need to handle them inside our content view model. Let's go back. So I'm going to do the catch of any error. So catch right over here in the load function. I'm not going to bubble it up to the view itself, on the load function, because I'm going to handle that error right over here on the view state. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm just going to say view state equals error. And, we could have passed as a computed property the error type, but I'm using the string value, so let's just have this add the localized description for this. Let me just have this. There we go. Okay, so that takes care of any errors. We are going to be displaying the error view. We'll see how we handle that on the view in just a second. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to fetch some profiles. Let profiles equals try await manager load. That's just the easiest way of doing it. In this case, we are just actually going to load some valid profiles. Now, here comes the fun part. Currently, the initial value is loading. Then we try to load our profiles. If we have an empty array of the profiles, then we are going to go for the empty view. Otherwise, we want to go for the loaded view. And we are going to move the profiles outside. As you can see on the view model, we can't actually see any of the profiles themselves. They are actually loaded right over here. So let's just type it out. If profiles is empty, let's take care of the empty state. So this is an empty array. The view state should be empty, and we need to provide some sort of text. That's great. Otherwise, we do have a profile, an array of profiles, sorry. And then we would say view state equals dot loaded and profiles. So we can just pass along those profiles. Loaded. There we go. Loaded profiles. And we know that this is an array of profiles because we have configured it right over here. Okay, so that's our content view model. Now let's use it. Now this is the most fun part of this tutorial. Finally, we got over there. By the way, I just imported also Shimmer. Go ahead and check out. It is SwiftUI Shimmer. Let me just take a look at the, so github.com/markiv/SwiftUI Shimmer.get. Now, why is that? Well, whenever we are loading, I want to present a shimmering view of the upcoming views. So that's what we are going to set up right over here. Okay, so at state private var view model equals view model, and we are going to initialize it. Okay, that's fine. So we have our view model available. Inside of this VStack, I'm going to have a group, and inside that group, I'm going to switch through the view states. So switch. I'm not going to go with the autocomplete because I want to make sure that everything works as expected. So view a model dot view state, and then let's just go for the cases. No, it's not recognizing it correctly, but that's fine. So we are going to use, first of all, the case dot loading, and for that I'm going to well, first of all, let's add all of the cases, and then I'm going to add in case dot loaded, and we are going to have some profiles, and then again just a simple text for now. I'm going to replace that later on. Case dot empty, and then we are going to have a message, and then again text. And finally, the third case will be our error one. Error with a message, again, a text of empty string. Now, hopefully all of the warnings went away. We do need to set up let right over here. Let, and let. Okay, let's see those warnings go away. There we go. Okay, so let's start from the bottom up. For the error, I'm going to use the error view that I have previously created and feed the message into it. So let's see, view state error view message, and I'm going to pass along the message. And this is actually an optional retry. We could just set this to nil and don't show anything as the retry button, but I do like this. So I'm just going to hit return over here, and the actual action for the retry button will be view model dot view state equals is loading. So in this case, I'm just going to present, set the state for the loading, so it should load. Okay, but how do we load? Well, we just create a task and put it in onto the view that is presenting on the loading view state. And right over here, we just say await view model dot load. That's fine. Okay. So this is how, with a small v, this is how we just move from the error state to again trying to refresh our profiles. Okay, what about the empty view? Well, let's just see this in action. So I'm going to go back into my profiles manager. Sorry, not profiles manager, but right over here down actually on the content view. I'm going to set, instead of load, I'm going to go load error. Okay, so now let's see that. There we go, it's a loading. Of course, now it's empty for 2 seconds and then unknown error occurred. So we are going to talk about the loading view also. But for now, okay, we got an error. Let's retry. Again, an empty view is just trying to fetch. And after 2 seconds, we are getting back to our loading, error view case. What about the empty? So let's just set this to empty, load empty. This is when we are actually having an empty view, the empty array of profiles. So again, let's just have this as a view state, empty view with a message of message. Of course, you might want to add the retry button to the empty view as well. But yeah, as you can see, after 2 seconds, no profiles found was added. And of course, we don't have the retry button. What about the loaded? So let's just have that as the actual function, load, great. Of course, now it's just loading this empty text field. Now, we have a profiles list view. Let's use that. So profiles list view, and it requires an array of profiles. So profiles, there we go. Okay, so now after a few seconds, 2 seconds, we are presented with the actual data that we are having. But I want this to be a little bit more, not just, let me just add in here the progress bar, so progress view. So we can actually see what's going on. So after 2 seconds, we have the progress view. You may be okay with that, but that's why I added the shimmering. I want this to be a little bit better. I want this to be redacted and shimmering. So I'm going to actually grab the profiles list view. So profile list view, and under the profiles, as you can see, we don't have any profiles, and we shouldn't actually add in for the loading view an empty array. We should use the mock. So profiles manager dot and mock. So now we have these free profiles, and as you can see, it's already presenting it, and now after 2 seconds, it's just presenting the actual data, not just the mock data. Of course, this is not what we want. We want this to be redacted, so redacted. And the reason is placeholder. So now it will be a little bit different. As you can see now, those are redacted. And after 2 seconds, the actual data comes in. And also, I'm going to add in, from the library shimmer, I'm going to add in here just shimmering. There we go. And now, for those 2 seconds, it will just shimmer, as you can see right over here, which is really, really nice. Let's just wait for those 2 seconds. And yeah, sometimes the preview is not doing its thing. Let's just build and run. And let's see that properly. After 2 seconds of shimmering, we should get the actual data. There we go. Okay, so this is fine and all. But I also want to present a navigation title. As you can see, we already have the navigation stack on the preview. Let's just have a navigation title. And we are going to add a conditional right over here. So the title should be either profiles, when we do get an array of profiles, or just loading. Of course, this, you can use it if you want to, you don't have to. So there we go. We are going to add a view model dot view state equals dot loading. This is why we need it to be equatable, by the way. And then we have, yeah, that's fine. So if it's loading, we just have loading and then profile. Let's see if the preview will work this time. So there we go. It is loading, it's shimmering. And then after it got its data, it's just changing to profiles. Really, really nice. Again, just to recap, we have a view state on the view model of your view where you are fetching some data. We have the loading state, the loaded with the actual data, empty with some message, error with some message. And this is really, really clean. I really like this. This is what I teach on SwiftUI Camp, by the way. And SwiftUI Camp is a part of my Black Friday sale. Go ahead and check out the 91% discount in the link in the description where you can get all of my products plus have a chance to join the December SwiftUI Camp. Go ahead and check it out.